Welcome to the Awakened Goddess Show, your source for inspiration, wisdom, and personal discovery. The place to learn from a diverse mix of mentors, metaphysical experts, spiritual leaders, and best-selling authors from around the world. I'm your host, Angela Wilkinson. Join me as I explore the minds of my masterful guests while they share powerful insights and easy-to-use tools you can start using right away. Now, let's tap into the energy of the Awakened Goddess and be enlightened by today's guest. Jade Ghenzer is an energy and crystal healer who specializes in busting through communication blocks, assisting people unleash their inner voice and realize their highest self-expression. For over 20 years, Jade pursued careers in telecommunication engineering and marketing before discovering her love of energy healing and crystals 5 years ago. She studied a diploma in energetic healing and slowly transitioned full-time into helping people give voice to their inner truth. Now let's welcome Jade to the show. Hi, I'm Angela Wilkinson, and welcome to this episode of the Awakened Goddess Show, where we co-create powerful, conscious conversations on the leading edge. Today I have Jade joining me, and we're going to be talking about resonance, self-expression, and our superpowers. So welcome, Jade.
Hello, Angela. How are you?
I am great. I am really looking forward to our conversation and to see how this unfolds, because honestly, this has been something in my years of being an entrepreneur that I've really struggled with, communicating myself clearly and I think creating that resonance. So I'm looking forward to this. Yeah.
Hi.
And you know what's funny is I can hear people saying, "You got to be kidding me, you're on TV, so what's your problem?" But yeah.
I think it's because you're already, when you're in the zone and you're interviewing someone, you're already being you and you're already tuned into your resonant frequency. Maybe it's more, it's happening outside.
You totally just nailed it, because this show, I really created it, and I used to talk about this all the time, where I would say, I never know what's going to come out of my mouth. I simply step to the side and allow the flow, and what you're saying is I am in this space allowing myself to kind of settle in and just be myself. Yeah, where the piece that I struggle with or have in the past is the marketing piece. So it's like the after the fact. Yeah, very cool.
But that's probably because you're also affected by other things around marketing. And when you're affected by all these other beliefs around what you think marketing is about and about communicating with your tribe, you're looking through that filter instead of being in your home frequency. And when you're looking through that filter of all those other beliefs about, oh, well, it's too hard, or do I have to go through a sales funnel, or do I have to
the sales funnel. Yeah.
do I have to go through those email scripts? Why do I have to do all that? Or do I have to go through MailChimp? Once you start, and if you've got beliefs around using all of those things, it then gets in the way of getting your message out, and it dilutes your frequency. And when it dilutes your frequency, that's when everything goes haywire.
Yes. And it really affects how successful you are in business. Yeah. Now, before we get too far along in this conversation, I really want to highlight that this is not just for entrepreneurs or business people. This is really in how we express ourselves in any situation: friends, family, relationships.
That's right. That's right, Angela. And so, for instance, you could be having say you've got a crush on a guy in the office. Typical situation. Everyone has encountered those before. I have several times. and, and the thing is, whenever we have, whenever we would like to be with someone, we come along with all these beliefs around our self-worth and how people perceive us. And we think, oh, they're not going to like us because we're not pretty enough, or we don't have long hair, or we're not tall enough, or we don't talk confident, or we're not at a specific level, maybe, in the work hierarchy, perhaps, because we're invisible. But all these beliefs get in the way of who we really are. Whereas if we just sort of peel them all away and release them, which we can with a lot of hard work, of course. But when we do release them, then we become who we really are, which is really perfect. We're just perfect people. We're perfect beings all on our own, but we keep getting in the way.
Yes. Oh my gosh. And I definitely want to talk a little bit later about how we sabotage ourselves, unconsciously or subconsciously when we communicate. But I just want to stick here for a bit. You talk about self-worth, and oh my goodness, it seems like we're all, well, let me back up. I don't like to generalize. This thing about trying to prove ourselves or trying to prove our worth or our value, it is so I can see it. I've seen it in myself for years, and I see it on other people. And, talking about this resonance and how we communicate, it's like you can see it, you can feel it, how people communicate, how they feel about themselves, right?
Yes, because it's usually in the words that they use, and also the tone of voice that they use, and all of this has a frequency, and they might not know it, but we most people will not be aware of what frequency is about. But intrinsically, you will always feel if someone is sad, even though the words seem like they're up, or if someone is angry, even though the words seem like they're calm, because you cannot hide what you're sending out, but in a vibration wise. So yes, communication is so key, and the beliefs that you have around self-worth color a lot of what you say. So when you start saying things like, oh, I'm too shy, or I'm introvert, which a lot of spiritual entrepreneurs do. We are introverts. But if we keep telling ourselves that we're introverts, then we're just basically reinforcing that belief. Mm-hmm. When really we're not. We're meant to be expanded beings.
Well, and fully expressed.
Exactly.
Yeah, one of the words that I think of when I think of an awakened goddess, I think of this word unapologetic. So really unapologetically expressing yourself and who you are.
Exactly. I was actually just having a chat with another friend yesterday, which reinforces this point as well, because she was having what do you call it? Some challenges with some people that she was working with, and she forgot that the wisdom that she was sharing was something that needed to be heard. She started getting triggered by other people's reactions, and she started thinking, oh my God, I shouldn't have said that, when, because I've just upset them. But I was telling her, look, their reactions, you don't have any control over their reactions. And when people react in a negative way to something, usually that's a learning opportunity for them, because we don't learn from a space of happy, fluttery feelings. learn from the opposite of that. We usually learn from a space of darkness or anger. that's just the human way. Nothing sort of sticks in until we're feeling really, really angry.
Mm-hmm.
And
Well, and
then
that you think of alchemy or being a catalyst. I mean, I know I'm a catalyst for people. Like I am not a sugar coater. Like that is hard for me to do. And I can like cut right in and go deep and but here's the thing. I think because I have given myself permission to that's who I am, I haven't had like a negative like too much negative repercussions from that. Like
yeah,
maybe when I was younger and I would speak out, like people, I would feel judged.
yeah. But that's
Whereas, yeah, go ahead.
but that's probably because you've done a lot of your major learning and your major stripping, like stripping of the layers, early in the piece.
Oh
So
yeah, many layers have been stripped. Yeah, but you talk about like um this like we all have kind of like this big wound that we're trying to hide, but it actually can be our greatest superpower. So I want to hear more about this.
yes, so for me, I'll use myself as an example. So the way I do my healing is I actually always ask what people's weakest organ is, because that gives me a good feel right away on what their challenges are in this life, and where they are in terms of development, and how I can help them as well.
But wait,
Um,
wait a
yeah.
second. You're not walking around just asking people what's your weakest organ, right? You're because
No,
I would have no idea. I don't know my
no, no,
liver.
no. It's part of the questionnaire that people have to fill out when they come see me. But I do, I kind of, almost when I'm observing people and just people watching, just from their mannerisms, their conversation, and usually when they tell me, "Oh, I really suffer in that part of the body." And then things start ticking around in my head, and I'm just thinking, ah. so,
So
so
this
this
is
is
your superpower, being able to like totally read people and scan, and that's cool.
yeah, so basically the soul wound, and I don't take any credit for this. This is actually something that I've learned from one of my teachers back in college, but I think I've taken it a little bit further again, because it's just something that resonated so much with me.
Yes.
So my soul wound has been this weakness around my throat area. And it's always been my weakness ever since I was a child. I was always sick with bronchitis and with asthma, and it was chronic. Like I was always getting sick about 3-4 times a year. I was in hospital when I was a child. Basically, anything that's a fever or just the flu would actually get exacerbated and get 10 times worse. One time I had the flu, which became measles, and I ended up in hospital, and they had put me on a respirator and everything. And yeah, but then looking back now, the other things that was going on in my life was all around communication, but all around the emotional and mental, all the beliefs around it. There was a lot of dishonesty around me, and the family dynamics were that it was okay to be dishonest
Mm.
with others.
So kind of like maybe covering up the shadow or the things that we don't want our other people to see, like that kind of stuff.
Yeah, there's a lot of white lies. There's a lot of white lies wherein people will just say, "Oh, you don't have to say that," or "You don't have to tell them that," even though it felt uncomfortable.
Hmm.
And then it became a habit wherein you just can't say the truth automatically anymore.
Well, it was like you were getting the message that speaking the truth was not safe, like it wasn't okay, like it was being invalidated.
Exactly, exactly.
Yeah.
So it was like a something that we did in the family, and then growing up. you start to think, well, I had to actually say what people wanted to hear instead of what I wanted to really say. And again, that became a habit. So it almost became layer upon layer of, I would say it's probably white lies, it's dishonesty, but at the end of the day, it's not speaking my truth. And that that basically went across into everything: school, teachers, friends, people at work. Even when I was in my 20s, people would ask me, well, what did you think of that? And I'd say, I thought it was all right, even though inside I'd be thinking, no.
Yeah.
And so for a long time, that was what was happening. And the funny thing was, I ended up working in the corporate world and doing engineering, but doing telecommunications. None of this actually started coming into, started piecing together until a few years ago.
Sure.
And then I started working in telecommunications companies. And without even knowing that I was doing this. It was not deliberate. It just happened to be the jobs that I ended up in.
Well, how cool, though, just to take a pause, is that we can all take a look at our own lives and see how those little breadcrumbs showing us how maybe unconsciously we made decisions to take ourselves on this healing journey. So
yeah.
even though we're not conscious about it, or we could not, or maybe we're not there yet where we're consciously doing it, but we have this natural ability to follow like a path of growth or healing. That's cool.
It is. And that was what I saw it as. I thought I was always being shown what the medicine was each time. But, I was not aware yet. And even then I kept working in the telecommunications industry. And then I ended up in marketing, doing marketing communications.
Totally about resonance and communication.
Talking to people. And then around that time, that was when I started getting into crystals and energy healing. And then it all fell into place. I thought, oh my God, I was always being shown the entire time. And so my weakest organ, which was my throat, when I started doing the energy healing diploma, and I mean, really, I did not even need to really practice that diploma. That was just spiritual development on steroids.
Yeah.
And while I was doing that diploma, what's funny is at the same time, my physical body was healing, but I was purging in a big way. So I was sick all through those 2 years of study.
Wow.
Yeah, and I was so sick. And then the last term, just before I finished the diploma and graduated, that was when I ended up in the hospital for a week. That was my last major purge. And then ever since then, I've been healthy.
Wow. That's interesting, because I think a lot of people they hear that, or if they would be going through that, they would quit. They would be like, there's like this fine difference that we have to be able to navigate between, are these signs that things that we're on the wrong path, or are these challenges or things that we need to move through because we're on the right path?
Yes, that is true. There is a fine line between, spirit or your body telling you should stop doing this, otherwise you will get into bigger trouble, or this is actually a natural release of all the toxins that have been in your body for such a long time, and we need to let them go. And I think the difference between the two is knowing an awareness of just connection to what your guides are telling you. And I think all through my life, I probably had that connection. I just wasn't aware. and I wasn't really tuning into it until a few years ago. So I was just instinctively following the signs and what I was meant to do and how I was meant to heal this soul wound. But it wasn't until I started doing the diploma that it was like I committed to it. I committed to it, and I was totally aware of what was going on with my body at the same time. I remember being in the hospital that one week when I had that major asthma attack. And they had to put me into an isolated room because they could not get the germ to me. All my mum, my daughter, and my husband, they had to wear these gowns and masks and cover their hair when they came.
Goodness.
It was that it was that bad. But I was having fun. I was like laughing inside because I was thinking, yay, this is the last thing.
Wow. That was like a vision quest.
Yes.
Going through that.
Yeah, it was, and it's just amazing. When once you do remember a lot of the purpose, the reason why you're here, and then tie it in to the challenges that you faced through your life, because it's the same thing. It's consistently the same thing all the way from your childhood. Then all of a sudden, the purpose and the meaning to life really comes together, and it becomes full. It becomes really, really full. And you're not, you stop looking for things outside to fill it.
Yeah, I love that. And I just want to mention for Awaken Goddess Show members that you're going to, for a bonus, you're going to help walk us through a process. You're going to walk me through a process, and then everyone else can also follow along and kind of get a little taste of connection, of finding that maybe that superpower. Maybe someone will have an aha and tap into what theirs is. So that's exciting. So I want to go back to talk about being an entrepreneur, or using this resonance in business, right? Because I know that's one thing you're passionate about, is helping spiritual entrepreneurs communicate their message in a way that they speak to their tribe and they can attract the right people to them. So how do we sabotage ourselves in, say, marketing?
So easily. So
right.
There's three main things that we sabotage ourselves. Well, the most often one that we use is when we're sending out our communication, but then we're distracted. Maybe, the child, my daughter, is probably saying, "Mommy, I'm hungry," in the back room while I'm writing my copy for my website, or my copy for a promotion on Facebook. And she keeps telling me, "Oh, I'm hungry. So I'm distracted by her while I'm writing the copy. And if I don't focus on the copy and focus the intention of what the copy is meant to do before I press submit, then my frequency still has that interference signal happening. And what happens is the interference basically breaks up your resonance, or your frequency. It breaks it up, and it does not come across clear. So that's one way.
Yeah.
The second way is where we really go against ourselves, where we write the copy and say we're doing a big launch, and we want to, and in our minds we've got this target that we want to reach 100 people, like 100 paying customers, but then somewhere in the depths of memory, right, there's probably like a self-worth issue happening, that maybe lodged itself when you were a child. And, and then so all of a sudden this thing grabs us while we're writing the copy, and you start to believe that, oh my God, what if no one reads my copy? what if does not turn up? Or what if it goes into the spam folders and nobody even opens my email?
Maybe I only have one person sign up. I'm sure that there's a lot of people with that fear as well.
And so all of a sudden, your original intent to reach and help all these people has been sabotaged by the opposite. So this is actually not even interference. You've actually put the opposite frequency to that. You've basically cancelled your intent altogether. Yeah, so that's what's happened. You've put out the signal, but you've put the opposite to it. You've cancelled your intent.
Girl, I am like the poster child of sabotaging. That's funny. Okay. I totally get it.
The third one is, and this one a lot of people do. A lot of people do this one. And especially if you're new to marketing and you are still, feeling your way around email newsletters or writing a very good call to action or writing blogs, whatever. So there's a lot of people out there in the marketplace that say, hey, I've got these email templates that are really good and they convert really well. Yes. Or someone says, no, these are, use these keywords, always put these keywords in your emails and they will convert. Or someone has said something about, ooh, let's copy that person's sequence on their promotion and see if it works. We could even copy their words. Because what's basically happened is you've taken on and diluted your own frequency with someone else's.
Yes.
It works. It works after you've started to own the material. So there is a point wherein you can use those email scripts and those sequences and those, but you have to start owning them. You cannot just copy and paste, because what's happening is it then dilutes your frequency with whoever created that script. Mm-hmm. And what's going to happen is there's two intents happening, but neither of them are strong enough.
Sure.
Yeah,
that totally makes sense. So and I know that everybody out there is like, oh, because I'm sure 99% of entrepreneurs have attempted this in one shape or form.
Oh, yes. So you end up going out, your message goes out with two intents, but neither of them are strong enough to actually hit the mark. Mm-hmm. And what's going to happen is the person who's reading this, they read your email script, they look at your Facebook Live, and they think, hang on, the language is off. It's not the same person writing it.
Yeah.
And then they'll think, there's something dodgy here. I want to buy. And then if it's someone who's really spiritually tuned in, they'll know right away. They won't even bother.
Okay. Wow. Oh my gosh. I know people that are watching and listening right now are like, they're really, I know that there are a lot of ahas happening right now. So I love that. And I encourage you guys, if you want more of this, we're going to go deeper for members. And so thank you, Jade, for joining me today. This was, oh my gosh, I can't tell you, I wish we had talked like a couple years ago, because I so need your help. So thank you. Thank you for sharing your wisdom.
You're welcome. It was fun. It was really, really fun.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Awakened Goddess Show. I hope you enjoyed today's guest and got something you can start using in your life right away. For more spiritual insights and to listen to more episodes, subscribe to The Awakened Goddess Show at theawakenedgoddess.com and discover wisdom that'll change your life.